Every time I failed at something in life and I was honest with myself about why I failed, it always had to do with either something I did do or a lot of things that I didn't do, right? If I was trying to create some sort of startup or some sort of business and it just fell apart, the thing didn't happen, the product didn't launch, the service never was provided, like I couldn't get any clients, I would come to realize that, well, I'm actually not doing the thing that I'm supposed to do, right? So outside of what I am now doing and have thrown myself completely into, almost everything else was a distraction. It was a money getting scheme. It was something that was not connected to my purpose, my passion, and my mission in life, right? Which still means it was on me. I was basically chasing money as opposed to allowing money to be in exchange for the most value that I can put out into the world. So you had situations like that. Also, I just simply didn't do enough. I didn't do the things necessary. I didn't devote myself, give enough time. I had tried to, create content in the past, but there was stagnation. There wasn't much growth. I wasn't reaching the people that I wanted to. The financial aspect wasn't hitting. And it was simply because I wasn't doing what was necessary. I've also been in partnerships, and it's going to tie to our message today. I've been in partnerships where I felt I didn't get my just due. I felt I didn't get what I was owed or, what I felt I was worth. I felt like the other people were getting so much more than I was out of a deal when I was putting in more work or whatever it was. And I would become jaded. As a matter of fact, for years I became jaded, even towards some family members who I did business with. But it was only when I finally accepted personal responsibility that this wasn't because of, these greedy bastards or, my failures weren't because of racism, injustice, and things of that nature that were easy to point to, a lot of different scapegoats. But instead, it was because I didn't do what was supposed to be done or, or I was doing something that was stripping away from my success. And this story fascinates me right here because, again, it's just another example of something I speak of to nauseam. And the reason I do is because I know that our limiting beliefs are going to be the difference between whether or not we become successful, whatever we hold on to as a belief. And so this story had two components, right, that really captured my attention. One, it's one of the biggest excuses that is being used in modern time, which is, the reason I'm not succeeding in the way I want to is racism. You can also put sexism, homophobia, all these sorts of things in that same category, right? It's the system. There's a system out there that's working against me. That's the reason why I'm not succeeding. And then on the other side, it's like, the inability to negotiate one's own worth. Because in each of those business dealings, when I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, is because I technically was not putting my value up front. Instead, I was so desperate and thirsty for an opportunity that I would just jump into something. Maybe the contract was 40, 60, even though I was going to be putting in 80% of the work and they put in 20, but I was afraid to lose the deal. And so when we get into the story, God, how do I pronounce this brother's name? I've loved many of his films, to be honest, from Blood Diamond to Gladiator, even Amistad from way, way back in the day. But Dijon, I think it's Dijon, I believe, right? Fellow African-born brother. And here's the thing. So we're going to get into this very short clip. But he essentially speaks of how he is still struggling to pay his bills, or essentially struggling to make a living even after 20 plus years in Hollywood. And this isn't a story that is uncommon, unfortunately. It's not the most common because these people won't usually articulate that, right? They won't tell you they're broke. But, I have heard a few stories come up the pipelines, whether it was, what's his name? I was going to say Johnny Cage, Nicolas Cage. I was thinking of goddamn fighting games. Nicolas Cage, Al Pacino, who made 50 or $500 million or something crazy like that and lost it all, all the way to Taraji P. Henson coming out later in her career saying she wasn't paid what she felt she was worth. But the thing that always gets me is when now it's a conversation of it's because of something out there. It's racism that did it, right? It's the system. It's the man. If only I was something, other than what I am, I would have got paid more. When in truth, that's not the whole story. So let's watch this, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents and really, really break this down. So get yourself some water. Make sure to stay hydrated and not high. Let's get into it.
I just came off the boat and off the streets where Steven Spielberg, used me for this film. And even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So
Okay, so just to give context, right before this, he was saying that, he was snubbed of an Oscar for that first film. Mind you, I believe it was actually his literal first film. Like he had just touched down from the continent. And so the man got a Golden Globe, but he didn't get the Oscar. And so he felt that that was also discrimination. Again, for me, look, I can say maybe it was, but there's also a chance that maybe it wasn't. Maybe they saw somebody else. Again, they also have their own little Hollywood connections and things of that nature. So maybe they just gave it to somebody who was one of their connections as opposed to a dude they didn't know. It's a very weird crowd. And to be honest, these awards don't really mean diddly shit. So let's continue.
This conceptual idea of diversity and all that, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon. I mean, I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business?
After, let's speak, 30 years, let's say like maybe the first 10 years was really trying to, sort of acclimate myself to the industry.
And establish yourself.
And establish myself. I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, been in many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid. Struggling financially to make a living.
Okay. So I'm going to break down the business of Hollywood. Hopefully not to bore y'all to sleep, but essentially I have to get into the reality of what's actually going on behind the scenes, because this is something I'm interested in. I've always been in entertainment. The first job I ever had was acting, literally. At the age of 2 years old, I was in a commercial all the way until I was around 12 years old. Then, I tried to fit into a stereotypical culture and stop being an acting kid. Instead, try to be an athlete at 5 foot nothing. But anyway, I digress. So the business of Hollywood. Here's the thing. When you are a Hollywood actor, you are an independent contractor. So though you may be a part of the Writers Guild, you may be a part of the, what do they call it? SAG, the Stage Actors, whatever it is. Stage Actor Guild, I guess. You are paid based upon the work that you do. You're paid per project. Right. So if you are a background actor, I'm talking about just somebody just somewhere in the crowd. Right. You're going to be paid on the same contractual format as somebody who is the lead actor in something. You are an independent contractor. You are not hired as a W-2. You are not an employee of that company. You understand? Therefore, you are negotiating contracts. Every time that you do a movie, that's why, you'll hear sometimes a person like, let's say, Chris Tucker, right? Chris Tucker went from being paid like $5,000 by Ice Cube to do that first breakthrough movie, which was Friday. And after that, his worth skyrocketed because he did a phenomenal job in that movie, right? Still to this day, I have quotables that just come out of me, that just ooze out of me. They just conjure by themselves. So Chris goes from making $5,000 in a movie, right? That was a contract that he signed with Cube, who was really just putting people on. Cube was using his own money. Some people still jaded off of not being paid enough, whatever. I say, look, who else put y'all in the movie that broke y'all into Hollywood or Hollyweird or whatever the hell? So anyway, Chris goes to Money Talks, which I love that. I love damn near every Chris Tucker movie. But after Money Talks, he ends up getting the role for Rush Hour and ends up becoming the highest paid actor, I believe, at that time in Hollywood. He got paid $20 million to do the Rush Hour movie. So from $5,000 to $20 million. Now, that comes as a byproduct of obviously your worth skyrocketing in the eyes of the public. People want to put you in a movie. They see that value, but you also have to translate that value. You have to communicate that value. Now, Chris could have just said, man, this is an unfair system because I'm black. I only got paid $5,000, woe is me. But instead he said, wait a minute. No, I can really do something with this. Like, I got the goods. I got what it takes. So he linked up with whatever management team, whatever agent that he had to connect himself to. and he got himself in some of the biggest roles. I mean, just Rush Hour by itself is one of the biggest franchises ever, period. I will watch that. I will watch that thing till my very last days. If I had to watch one set of films, it would either be Men in Black or it would be Rush Hour. Like if it could be, a prequel. Oh, not what a prequel. If it could be a franchise in that way. So the reason I bring this up is real specific. When this brother says that he was not paid enough for each film, I don't have the information right in front of me. I just know that his overall net worth is estimated between $2 to $4 million, which to the average person is a lot of money, right? To the average person who's not an adult pretender, aka an actor, that's a lot of money. Most people are not going to see $1 million altogether at once in a lifetime. Most people. Hopefully all people do. And, you squeeze all the juice out the lemon that is this life. And, you connect yourself to your purpose and your gifting. I pray that you do because you can. You have the potential to. But statistically speaking, this man is part of the 1% club as far as wealth. So that means that there must be a disconnect somewhere. Okay, so let's say he has done 5 huge blockbuster films. And let's say in those films, he was paid $1 million a piece. And again, this is low balling. There's no way he just got paid $1 million and that was it for like Gladiator or something like that, right? At least gonna be 2.5 million, etc. Maybe 5, 10, who knows? But what I know is he's for sure made more than $2 to $4 million in his career, for sure. He bought a home that was worth $2 million. So again, that asset by itself is worth $2 million, right? I don't know how much he's carrying cash, but that's how much he has in his home. So if he has at least $2 million, it means he's made at least $2 million, right? Some will say, well, not technically. I mean, he could have gotten a loan, blah, 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 but no bank is going to allow you to purchase a $2 million home if you do not have the finances that reflect your ability to pay that mortgage, right? And I'm almost certain that he has, that house paid off. So if it was only $2 million we're dealing with still, that is a hefty amount. This is a man who's gotten work throughout those last 2 decades. So he has been getting paid. Now, the question is, was it systemic racism that led to him not getting the amount of money he thought he was deserving of? And I say to that, absolutely the hell not. Why? Because there are a multitude of African-born actors who came after him, who had thick accents, who had, sometimes were typecast into movies or whatever it may have been, or did very specific type of movies while they were kind of like making their way, right? The Idrises of the world, not Elba specifically, who was, I guess, British born, but to Nigerian parents, but the other Idris, right? Snowfall guy, etc. Some of these people had African descent or African family. They're first generation, or, they're the first ones to move into the UK or into the United States or whatever it was. There are examples within Hollywood of individuals who have made significant amount of money, who have had great contracts, phenomenal roles, and have been in that industry for less time. As dark-skinned, you know what I mean? As many African features, etc., as this brother right here. And this is coming from a brother who was indeed born in Zimbabwe, right? So the reality is the man simply did not maximize. If he felt that he was not getting his just due, he did not maximize. He did not feel that his worth was to a point where he could negotiate a contract. Maybe he was afraid to lose opportunities. I don't know. I need to sit with the man and then really interview him personally in order to know his reasons as to why he didn't ask for more as he was going along. If he knew that, certain people were getting paid this much or that much for the same work, why was he not articulating that? Perhaps he had a scarcity mindset. Damn, I might lose this opportunity. I came straight from Africa and now I'm here and it's a great opportunity. Maybe he had that mentality. It's like a lot of the players back in the NBA in the 80s and the 90s and even times before that, they would have never thought to negotiate over, $1 million or a few $1 million. It was a huge deal when Magic got $1 million contract. Today, these guys are getting $250 million 5-year contracts. And it's regular talk, right? The game's changed. Obviously, there's more money in the game, but also these players are starting to negotiate their value and even beyond their value in a lot of cases. There's no systemic racism there. There's no systemic racism there. And those are majoritively black players. So the real conversation that's being had here, the honest conversation, is the brother just either didn't know his worth or the brother spent a lot of money frivolously. And again, it's not my business what somebody does with their money. You do what you do with yours, boo boo, period. I'm not going to speak to your financial life in that way. I don't give a damn if you bought 15 Lambos and, Bugattis and mansions. I really don't care. That's between you and God. But if you did splurge your money, like a lot of these Hollywood actors, actresses have throughout time, if you were indiscriminate with how you leaked that money flow, that's a personal issue and has nothing to do with the system of racism. And again, I come back to this thing because that limiting belief will also stop you from going beyond where you currently are. It will even keep you trapped. Like, imagine if he's holding the belief, racism the whole time he's getting cast in the movies, etc. He's actually keeping himself at a deficit. It is a self-imposed limiting belief. That's what I call it. It's self-imposed. Nobody's really putting that on you, right? You're going through life with a perception, pair of lenses, pair of glasses, and through that you only see race. And it's very unfortunate. Like, somebody asked me in my comments today, they said, why you always berate on black people? And I thought to myself, that's an interesting way to phrase that. But in essence, I speak to limiting beliefs. I speak to those things that are holding people back most. And this happens to be one of those. This, like, the entire woke ideology is pushing a level of self-victimhood that has literally left a generation behind when it comes to success, when it comes to potential, when it comes to maximizing on one's purpose. It has been the detriment to an entire generation. I see folks who just have so many beliefs of what they cannot do and what they cannot be and what they cannot have. And it breaks my heart to see it. And so I speak towards those things. And in this case, it's the very same. The conversation I have with this brother is to say, look, I understand what, your sentiment. I understand where you're coming from. But the reality is this. Let's go through your finances first. Let's be honest. Let's have a genuine, honest conversation. Let's open up the books, right? Let's show the people what it actually is that you've made throughout time. And in some cases, just like, the everyday person going to a 9-to-5 job, whatever, you look through your finances and sometimes you realize, oh shit, I made way more money than I thought I actually did. I just spent a lot of money. I just indiscriminately, bought things that I really didn't need. You go through all your assets, and let's say you just go through your shoes. Maybe if you're a shoe person, right? You love the J's, you love the D's, you love the Jordans, whatever. Jordans is J's. You love the damn Yeezys, all that, right? You got all the damn shoes. You go through your shoes, you might have $10,000 worth of shoes in your closet. And you think to yourself, damn, that's 10K, right? That's 10 bands right there. You go through your clothes, you might see another 5-6 bands right there. You go through little, miscellaneous things that you've bought. You go through bottle service that you've been getting, whatever it is that you're into, dinners out, etc. And you start to calculate down and you realize, man, I done spent at least, $250,000 in my, in the last 20 years. You would be surprised how much money can just leak through if you're not intentional with it. But again, that comes back to personal responsibility, which we hate. It's like this generation is allergic to personal accountability, not understanding it's the gateway to freedom. It's the only way to freedom. There's no other way to freedom besides personal accountability, because you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I doing in order to correct? And so that's what I wish for him and anybody who's in that mindset. Taraji P. Henson, who, again, she had a video that was viral maybe last year or 2 years ago. She was saying Benjamin Button, it was like $160 million budget. Obviously, what's his name? Is it Leo or is it Brad Pitt in that damn? I think it's Brad Pitt. He got paid what he got paid, and her agent basically took like a half-ass deal, and she was okay with it because he said, well, it's going to be a huge movie and it's going to set you up for success, instead of, wait a minute, wait damn now. This movie is this movie. I need to be getting paid. I need to be getting compensated what I'm worth. And she's a phenomenal actress. Again, this brother, he's a solid actor. Taraji is a phenomenal actress. She could have been getting paid what she was worth, but there's a negotiation, and that has nothing to do with racism and not racism. And if you're dealing with somebody racist and you genuinely get that they're just segregated, and trust me, a true racist don't want you in the movie. They don't want a true racist. I'm talking about a real life, like you're inferior. They don't want to give you a dime. You might have people that are bigoted or a little prejudiced or whatever. But a true racist, true systemic racist, you're not getting the role. They're just going to do blackface. That's systemic racism. They're going to literally get a minstrel. That's systemic racism. This is an opportunity that you got to maximize. You got to be able to negotiate. You know, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger came to this country from Austria. You know, obviously built a career for himself in bodybuilding, etc. Just had aspirations upon aspirations. This man was rejected by all of Hollywood. They said your accent's too thick, like nobody can understand you. You're too muscular. You're not like the it guy, right? They had like Woody Allen and people like that as the front guys at that time. De Niro, little guy, Al Pacino. So they're looking at Schwarzenegger like, what the hell are we gonna do with you? There is no movie for you. And he worked like hell, out of his own words. He took classes upon classes to fix his accent, to, be able to speak. What he's speaking now is the best English he's able to speak. That's how thick his accent was to begin with, right? He did everything he could, and he went to every single studio. He did what he had to do, auditioned for everything, got rejected for damn near everything, and finally was basically typecast. I think it was Hercules in New York or something like that, right? A small little disaster movie, but it was his first foot in, and from there he was able to be seen by the director of Conan, which had always been a dream of his. And so he ends up becoming Conan the Barbarian, and from there he builds his career up. And he always negotiated himself for the best deal possible, right? And the best movies possible. That's another thing, is to say, you're always selling yourself. If you're in that business, you're in the entertainment space. It's like even here, content creation. Every time I'm speaking to you is, an audition, vouching for your attention, vouching for your time, etc. There's got to be a value transaction here. And some people will send a donation. Shout out to everybody who, sends personal donations. Some people pay in attention. And so there's revenue coming through, views and things of that nature. That's a transaction of value that's taking place. But I can't just say, oh man, if it wasn't for racism, I would be getting more AdSense. If it wasn't for racism, oh man, my content. No. If I deliver the most value, it don't matter what I look like. I could be purple over here, right? I could look like a whole entire Frankenstein. People would not give a damn so long as they're getting something of substance of value when it's all said and done. And so that's what I'm going to leave y'all with, and I'm going to leave this brother with. Hopefully one day he gets to see this video. We can have a sit down, because I really do. I've reverence for anybody who goes out, pursues their dream. But it's unfortunate when, we're still kind of having this same conversation over and over of it's racism, when in truth, it's personal decisions that were made or were not made. So hopefully we continue to make better decisions for ourselves, you and I at least. Peace.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like counts of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up? Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you showing love. I can dig your energy. Even in the dark side, know you got that inner peace. You can fill a cup again, your limit is infinity. You manifest a life with all the fixings and amenities. This is more or less a house sitting. A sitting on a house like Snoopy. A teacher, no dog, new tricks, that's bliss. Cause there ain't no Charlie Browns in this vicinity. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon.